Welcome to everyone watching this. This is our game of Downfall with the Gauntlet Community. And this week we're playing Downfall with a slight twist that our haven is going to be a haven populated by cats. So other than that additional premise, everything else is going to run, as the game normally runs, but we're just going to make sure that we're playing as a society of cats undergoing some sort of a downfall. So to start off, before we jump into the world creation and all that, we want to go through our safety mechanisms here. So we've got, if everybody's got access to the Google Doc that says Downfall Cat Edition, you should all be able to edit that. It was in the link that I sent out.
Yeah.
So towards the bottom of there, you see I've got a space for lines, which are things that we're just going to not include in our story at all. And then for veils, which is things that can be part of the story, but we're going to keep them off screen, fade to black or whatever on those. So if anybody has anything you'd like to add to the lines and veils, you can go ahead and type those into the Google Doc, and we'll check in on those and make sure that everybody knows what's on that list. During the game, you can always add more things to it, but you might just want to give us a heads up if you're doing that so that we notice that something has been added. We also have the X card in effect, and since we're not using, we don't have to roll any dice or anything for this game, so we're not using Roll for Your Party. So if you want to X card something, if something comes up and you're like, let's not go there, you can just say X card, or like hold up your hands as an X on the video, or type X into the little chat. Just any way of communicating to the rest of us that there's something that you want to X out. All of those work just fine. So why don't we, while everybody is taking a second to put in their lines and veils, let's go around and quickly introduce ourselves as players, because haven't all played together before. So I'm Stentor Danielson. I'm going to be facilitating the game, but not directly playing, since it's a 3-player game. And I've been on the Gauntlet for about a year, running games since fairly early on in my my time here. This is my second time playing this game after our non-cat version of it last week. So just going in order on my screen, Stephen.
Stephen Desjardins. I've been on the Gauntlet a couple of years now, he, him pronouns. I live in Washington, D.C., and I think this is my first time playing Downfall. Might be my second. If so, it was a couple of years ago, and I don't really remember it.
Okay. And Christina.
Hey there, I'm Christina. I'm relatively new to the Gauntlet. I've been a member of the forums for a couple of months now, and this is my second game with the Gauntlet community. My second time playing Downfall as well. First time playing the Cat Edition. I use she, her pronouns.
Okay. And Dissonance.
Hey, you can all call me Justin. I made the mistake of using my username here, but I have been with the Gauntlet for a while, but I've only started playing games in the last few months. I've enjoyed the games I've played, and I'm excited to run a game for the first time for GauntletCon coming up. And I love Downfall.
Awesome. All right. And so right now, the lines and veils that we have up, we have a line against sexual violence or coercion, and a veil on explicit sex. And like I said, you can add anything to that as we go along, and just let us know that something's been added so that we can be aware of that. Okay, so to start our game, we have to create our society that is going to tragically fall. And so we call that society the Haven. And the first thing that we do to define our Haven is to define the flaw. So the rule book says at the root of our society is a flaw, a human, or in this case, cat, failing that will cause our self-destruction. The flaw is a social trait that most cats in our society believe is beneficial. Our culture was built on the flaw, but ultimately the flaw will cause our downfall. So we're going to together, or the three of you are together going to agree upon a flaw that our society has, and kind of get an idea together of what it means. And so there are some example flaws in the rule book. I'll read through them. You don't have to pick something off this list. You can come up with something on your own if you have a different idea. So the example flaws are ambition, classism, cowardice, distrust, greed, jealousy, loyalty, materialism, nationalism, perfectionism, pride, racism, selfishness, sexism, or vanity. So does anybody have an idea of what flaw you might like to have in our cat society here?
I mean, I feel like a flaw for cats is that nobody's in charge. It's like every cat considers themselves completely independent.
Okay.
Independence being the flaw, the social flaw.
Right.
Okay.
That's a thought. I mean, vanity comes to mind, thinking of cats. If we want to go with your standard list of flaws here.
Okay.
Christina, do you have a thought on a flaw?
No, not particularly.
Okay, so we have independence and vanity on the table.
Pride as well. But Stephen, what was yours again exactly?
It's like nobody is in charge. It's like no cat will allow any other cat to be in a position of authority over them.
How would you?
So I like independence as a summary. It's like there's sort of no cat is willing to subject themselves to another cat.
I have a question. I have one question about that, and it's more of a clarification. Is it really a society if their prime directive, so to speak, is independence or like self-sufficiency or something like that?
I mean, I think it is. It's a society where everybody chooses to belong to it, but it's not a society that has leaders.
So I'd like to jump in. One thing I learned from my last session of Downfall is that if we choose mechanisms or ideas that rely on interpersonal conflict that are very character-centric, like independence, it might be difficult to play through. That's what sort of got my last session really off track. So I think independence might fall under that for me, just the way I would choose to role play it. So maybe I would choose vanity or pride as another flaw to consider in this case. There's nothing wrong with the idea of independence, but that is just something I'm relaying from past experience.
Okay, I am perfectly fine with being outvoted. So do you want to go with vanity or pride?
I think vanity would make for a very fun game of Downfall, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that can sort of tie into independence too. It's like somebody tries to boss you around. It's like, who are you to be bossing me around?
Yeah, that seems like a really cool, intrinsic character trait to play off of in one of the three roles in this story.
Okay, cool. So we've got vanity as our flaw. So now that we're going to pick our elements. And so there's a list of the suggested elements that I'm going to paste into the private chat. So if everyone can see that there. And so everyone's supposed to pick their element separately, and then you all reveal them at the same time, so that you're not like riffing off of other people's elements when you choose it. So if everyone could type their chosen element into the chat, but don't hit send, and then just let me know when you've got your thing chosen, and once everybody's got one, we'll send them all at the same time so that we can see the elements. And so these elements are going to inspire the kind of the setting that our haven is in. So if you pick cave, that means caves are somehow involved in the place where our community is located, and we'll talk out what exactly that means, what kind of caves they are, or maybe they're metaphorical caves or whatever. So that's kind of the idea, that we're going to somehow combine these three elements to make our setting. So if everyone could pick one that speaks to you, type it in the chat, but don't hit send, and then just like raise your hand or something and let me know when you've got yours. Okay, Stephen's got his. Okay,
I'm good.
You good? Okay, so everybody send your element. Okay, we got void, highway, and trees. Okay, so what does a haven look like when it is characterized by void, highway, and trees?
Sorry, I was muted. Maybe we're in the median of a highway, like there are trees between lanes going in either direction.
I like that. Yeah, there's just this no man's land on either side of us, or it might as well be for a cat.
So we're like going with more of like a metaphorical void.
Well, these aspects will tie into every part of our story. Like we'll draw on them so as we play. But yes, in this case, thinking of like the haven itself, maybe it is like metaphorically there's a space of nothingness where no one can go, and that's a big part of our environment, or at least the view that we have.
Oh, got a
What
visit
about trees,
from
though?
here.
What do people think about the trees?
Right. Well, like trees growing in the median. So like there's a wild environment where we can hunt for mice and squirrels and birds and things, and it like extends into the distance in two directions. But on either side of us, there's just this endless dangerous void where and you can't enter it and survive.
That sounds good.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just was saying that sounds good.
I like the idea of, it's nothing like what we're imagining here, but in Seattle, where I live, there is this freeway park that's just like this park that's in between two freeways, and also it's part of the city. The idea of like this maybe beautiful I don't know if it's man-made, cat-made environment or whatever, but something that's like a oasis in between two very dangerous like thoroughfares or something is kind of an interesting environment to play in.
Yeah. I drive along a highway for about an hour each way to work each day, so I'm liking this thought, because I always look at the sections of trees in between and wonder what it would be like to just like walk around in there, because nobody goes in there because it's in between the sides of the highway. Okay, so we've got some idea about our haven. We've got a community of cats living in between the two sides of this highway. So now we're going to create some traditions. So we're going to create 3 of them, then we're going to create another 3 of them. So you're going to choose from a list of categories here. Let me paste that into the chat. Okay, so there's the list of categories. So each person's going to pick one of those categories and create a tradition for our community that's related to that category. So, if you pick the birth category, what's a tradition, what's something that our cat community does that has to do with the birth of new members of the community. Or if you pick food, what's some sort of cultural tradition we have about the kind of food that we eat or how we serve it or something like that. So everybody is going to create one of those, and I don't think we have to go any particular order. So if you've got an idea for one, just kind of tell us what it is, and we'll write it on our sheet here that we're keeping track of things. I can be kind of the scribe and jot everything down. Oh, and the tradition should embody or represent that flaw in some way. So it should in some way express our community's vanity.
I have a thought, and I'm trying to pick the right tradition for this because it could fit under a few. But I think that I'm going to say it could be architecture, it could be art, but I'm going to say art. I think that there is a tradition in our community that occasionally the void will provide something will appear spontaneously from the void onto our little island, be it detritus or the junk of some other civilization outside of our community, our haven, and great fortune comes to those who stumble upon such a thing, such a bounty, and I think that those who do find some of this detritus from the void are kind of honor bound to claim it and display it to the community, and maybe even have a party celebrating this new bounty. But it's also kind of a self-indulgent activity as well.
Okay.
I was thinking for naming that each cat chooses their own name when they become an adult, and becoming an adult is a rite of passage where you go on a solo hunt and you try to bring back some animal as proof that you are a hunter and you are independent. And like, the bigger and more dangerous the animal, the more prestigious it is. And of course, all cats choose very grandiose names.
Okay. I like it. And Christina, do you have an idea for a tradition?
Sure. So my idea was entertainment, and I think along the lines of coming and going from our little oasis into the void, there is a big to-do whenever someone goes off into the void for any particular purpose, whether it's in a messenger role or something else like that. So there are songs of coming and songs of going, and to tie in vanity, I think there's a bit of a self-exposition element to these songs, that saying like, look at all that I've done, something like that.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. So now we each, you're going to create a symbol associated with someone else's tradition. And so that's the rules say the person to your left. So I'm going to say we're in kind of a circle on the screen here. So I'm going to say that means counterclockwise around the group as I see them. I'm not sure if the videos are arranged the same way for everyone. And so that means that Christina will create the symbol for Stephen's tradition, which was the choose your own name after the hunt. Stephen will create a symbol for Justin's tradition, which was the displaying the detritus that appears out of the void. And then Justin will create a symbol for Christina's tradition, which was the songs to celebrate when people come in from or go out to the void. And so the symbol is the rulebook says it can be objects, tools, icons, locations, emblems, people, etc. So just something that represents like a tangible representation of that tradition. So again, in whatever order, if you think of a good symbol for your assigned tradition, you can just call it out.
So for naming, are we just writing it into the document, or are we calling it out?
Yeah, you can call it out so that we all hear, and then we'll write it into the document.
So for naming, I think that once you choose your name, and as a celebration of victory from the hunt, you get the most ostentatious cat collar one has ever seen. It's like just decked out in rhinestones, or I'll say that the symbol is a collar.
Okay.
An ostentatious collar.
Okay, sounds good.
Oh crap! No.
So I have a concept, and maybe y'all can help me with a name. To be honest, because I'm searching for a good first one single word name. But I think the songs, as far as the songs are concerned, the songs kind of symbolize the beginning and the ending. It's like a punctuation, actually, a punctuation or something similar to that. Maybe I need to go to the thesaurus. You basically don't cease to exist before you entered and after you exit cat society, and if you return, nothing really matters except the time that you've spent among us. So I think that there is like a little symbol here that I've written. Let's see if it doesn't, the glare. There we are. That symbolizes, the loop kind of symbolizes the beginning and the ending of your significance, and how nothing matters outside of our haven.
Okay. So I just wrote loop icon on the sheet, and so we'll all remember that picture that you drew there.
And for art, I think our society, we have a tradition of the provider, which is sort of like a cross between God and Santa Claus. There's just this long oral tradition in our society of these powerful beings that provide for us and give us things without our asking it. And all this detritus that enters our society is a gift from the provider.
Okay.
I'm starting to wonder if we're really between a freeway or if we're in a cat cafe.
Okay. And so now we do it again to make 3 more traditions. So pick another category and give us a tradition in that category.
I have one that I think plays off some of our previous traditions of grief. I think when a cat suffers something worthy of grief, uh, there is a great mewling that lasts for a day and a night. And as is usual amongst the cats, grief is not necessarily the loss of someone special to you, but probably just any old loss in general. And the night is often alive with many mewlings.
Okay.
I feel like you kind of have to go with fashion if your flaw is vanity. So I think our tradition is the styling of our fur connotes social status within the colony or the haven.
Okay.
Are we talking like breed style differences, or are we talking like bows and accessories or what have you?
I kind of want to go more the accessories and bows route, or, I'm sure that cats can have some manner of like roughing up their fur. I think breeds would take a turn into speciesism that, doesn't really belong in this. The game's dark enough, it's all going to be destroyed. So.
Okay. Cool.
I think for education, there's like a tradition of apprenticeship. It's like before going on their naming hunt, every kitten has to choose a particular cat to teach them the hunt, and they all they are always bound to their teacher, even after they become an adult. There's this permanent link between them.
Okay.
They're like a third parent.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's even more important than the actual parents. It's
Okay. Cool. All right. And so
yeah,
now
and
we're
and
gonna.
and
Oh.
you never choose your actual parents, assuming you know who they are. I guess
Mhm.
yeah. We'll just assume that you know who your parents are.
Okay. Cool. All right, so now we'll assign symbols and going the other direction. So Stephen will assign a symbol to Christina's tradition, which was the fur styling to connote status. Christina will make one for Justin's tradition, which was the day and a night of mewling when somebody suffers a loss. And then Justin will make one for Stephen's tradition, which was the apprenticeship.
So I think for the apprenticeship, whenever you find the teacher that you will belong to until your apprenticeship is over, I think that there is a ceremony of recognition, and it's symbolized by two a crude drawing of imagine a crude drawing of two roughly anthropomorphic cat figures. We're talking like more Garfield here than like, Cats, the musical. Identical figures reaching out to embrace one another. And the idea is that entering into that relationship is like you found like your soulmate, essentially. That's our version of that anyway.
Okay. Sounds good.
So for the day and night of Muling, I am thinking about, this happens quite frequently, and cats in the society like to console themselves with a black elastic circle that are, found that are found here and there. No one knows how they ever came to be in the Haven, but there is a ratio of like one black elastic circle to cat, I guess.
Okay.
So it's their consolation item, and humans might call those items hair ties, but we're cats, so we don't know that word.
Excellent.
And so maybe you display or carry around a hair tie if you're muling. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think for the first styling, the symbol is like 3 tongues, which is not literally the number 3. It's just a lot of tongues, which sort of symbolizes people are helping you with. If you've got a really high status, a lot of people are helping you style your fur. It's like it's too elaborate for one cat to do alone.
That's really gross, but I love it.
God, I'm trying to imagine 3 tongues and I just can't.
Awesome. No, I like that. Okay. So then the last thing we have to do for getting things set up is to create our 3 characters that we're going to play: the hero, the fallen, and the pillar. And I think in terms of game planning wise, we can create these 3 and then maybe take a short break. That'll be a good spot to take a little break and then come back and actually start playing the scenes. So the hero. So the book says the hero recognizes the Haven's coming doom and tries to prevent it. They're our only hope, and yet they will fail. So this is someone that is trying to fight against the doom kind of being brought by this flaw, but will ultimately not succeed at it. So the 3 things that we're choosing about our hero, and you can just kind of discuss these until you come to some agreement about what would be cool, are an occupation, which should be related to one of the traditions in some way. So they have some sort of particular role that connects them to one of those traditions. Then a rebellion, which is one of the traditions that the hero is pushing back against, has some sort of problem with it, which could be the same one as the one their occupation is connected to, or it could be a different one. And then their identity, which is just kind of general description of the hero: name, appearance, personality, those kind of things. Get kind of a little sketch of who this cat is. So does anybody have any ideas about our hero?
Thinking out loud, they're clearly someone who, they're fighting against vanity. So they're probably someone who's very community oriented and not selfish, at least compared to your average cat. But what kind of jobs and professions and stuff do we have in a community of cats? That's my question.
Right. Well, maybe this is somebody who has crossed the highway more than once. This is a great hero who has entered the void and returned.
So would they be someone who's mentored kittens, maybe like some sort of professional mentor, or I don't know. That's kind of like on the nose, I guess. But are they some sort of messenger or a deliverer or, tradesperson, or are they like, carrying out the societal function that we sketched out previously?
I actually like the idea maybe of them being a messenger. That gives them and leaving the community gives them an excuse for why they might recognize the flaw in the first place. The idea that they see how life is lived elsewhere, even if you don't talk about it when you return to the Haven, or even if it's not accepted as a valid way to live life out there. You can't help but be affected by that, and maybe they see some of the things that our own community is, some of the deficiencies in our own community.
Right. So the tradition that's their heroic tradition would be the songs for when people come or go to the void.
That's actually a great idea. I like that.
So like there's some sort of cat bard.
I mean, that's amazing. um, yeah, I mean, the songs that they sing here are all about them returning or going, and probably never about what they've seen. But you can't help, if they're making those songs, they can't help but talk to those people, and stuff comes out, right? Stuff about what life is like outside, and maybe we've been ourselves as well to see for ourselves. Yeah, like a bard is not a terrible description of their profession, I think.
Okay, awesome. So which tradition are they rebelling against?
I wonder if they're seeing. So, tell me if you have some other ideas. But the art tradition of the junk. Let's not walk around at the junk from outside the community, washing ashore, so to speak, from the void. I wonder if they see a lot of that as, no, literally, it is just garbage, and it's piling up more and more, and we're just like hoarding it, and that's not such a great idea. Maybe there's even like some kind of junk baron or something that riles us. That kind of thing.
Well, it might be more interesting to assign that tradition to one of the other roles, so that you've got a conflict between the two. They see the void. They have different views of the void.
That's a good point.
I think another way to frame the fixation on the junk would be a fixation on the junk to the point of like ignoring whatever real conflict arises in the society. Like, we are all feasting. It's like how Rome had a holiday every day or something, and didn't really get on with the functions that sustain a community, which Vanity ties into nicely.
Yeah, I like that. Do you need something more succinct, Stenter?
Yeah, could we sum this up in a sentence?
Our haven is disappearing under a pile of scrap.
Okay. All right, so let's give our hero a name and a little bit about their identity, appearance, personality, that kind of stuff.
Stephen, did you imagine them as older? You brought up the apprentice relationship stuff earlier.
Yeah, I think not super old, but definitely. I think they've been an adult for a while. They've made enough trips outside of the haven to that sort of got developed their own opinions, and yeah. So I think we want something really grandiose for their name, just because he's a cat. They're a cat. And something that relates to their profession. I mean, swiftness or wandering or.
Do you think the names reflect your profession?
I mean, I think names tend to reflect your personality, and he may not have even chosen the profession when he first went on the hunt, but I think it's also possible for names to change, sort of. Maybe as time goes on, you choose a new name when you do something particularly impressive.
Not to be too on the nose about like the highway theme, but Axel's a good name for a cat. Like this highway has some churches rolled down the road.
I like that. Stephen, I noticed you kept slipping and calling our cat a he.
Yeah,
we should talk.
That was
about pronouns.
Right.
For a character.
Right.
I kind of actually like. I often ask have heroes that are gender ambiguous. If people are comfortable with they them, I think that would be cool as well.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I'll definitely try to remember. I'm not always great about remembering pronouns, but I'll do my best. It's fine
with
Christina,
me.
You're good with that?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so Axel, they them pronouns. What color fur does Axel have? And how do they have it styled?
Black with white patches.
As for style, just because we called them a bard, I like the idea of a finely coiffed and well combed fur. And for some reason, I'm imagining at the legs, on their hind legs, they have kind of like a poofy fur, kind of almost as if they're wearing like a poofy pants or something like that.
Maybe they're also like a chonky cat with paunches that are sort of like folded over.
Okay. Awesome.
I really like cats, can't you tell?
Awesome. That sounds great for our hero. Okay, then we've got the Fallen. So the book describes it. The Fallen actively promotes the Flaw's growth within the Haven. There are many in the Haven who support the Flaw. The Fallen is just one of them. They're an antagonist who creates challenges for the hero throughout play. So for the Fallen, we need their relationship to the hero, their occupation, which again will be related to one of our traditions, and then their identity, name, pronouns, appearance, etc.
I have some thoughts on the relationship of the Fallen to the hero. Maybe they're a former mentee of this hero person, hero cat, Axel.
I like that because it's a nice twist on what you would expect. We trained them, and they are nothing like we hoped they would turn out to be.
Yeah, and I think in my experience, I just want to make sure that in my role play, note to self, I guess, that I don't make it too much about this one like mentor. Maybe there's like a series of such similar cats in these positions, because I made that mistake last time and I don't want to. It was really awkward to play through.
Mm-hmm.
We might have a talk about like comfort levels around how personal in quotes, it can get, because I've definitely played Downfall games that were very satisfying, where the Fallen was a lover and the Pillar was like a family member, that kind of thing, and the whole thing revolved around those three characters. But I could see how that could also be really uncomfortable with strangers.
I'm fine with whatever as long as it works for the group. Yeah, that's all I'll say.
Yeah, because I mean, former mentee, there's a range of different kind of, how distant they've become and so forth that we can, kind of work out as we play. So what occupation does our Fallen have?
They're a catnip farmer, maybe? Does it know? Maybe not. I don't know.
I mean, maybe something to do with grief. That they've sort of they keep putting up memorials to fallen cats. It's like their whole thing is we have to live in we have to remember the past.
Are they almost like we're a bard and we mentored them? Are they almost a bard of grief rather than of like remembrance? Yeah, and like telling other people's stories? Are they like a bard of? Are they like do they celebrate their own grief to such degrees that inspire other people to be?
Oh, they can be like a professional crier. Like it's like at funerals, that's totally a thing. Professional mourners. They're hired to mew very loudly for other people's griefs. That's a totally thing, right? People
in
hired
various
to,
societies, they're professional mourners. So you could totally do that.
You're a professional meowner.
Does that sound good to everyone else?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, so what name and pronouns are we giving our Fallen?
I'm stuck on. We talked about elaborate names, and I'm stuck on like what would their title be?
Right.
We could name them Hades or something. I mean, that's like a very death grief related name, but that's very.
This is literally Downfall is literally a game to play like Greek tragedies. So.
How about Crowbane? He's this cat that went out. He actually killed a crow on his naming hunt, and
I like that because I was thinking the appearance of this Fallen could be just a jet black cat of some kind.
Okay, so Crowbane, jet black. What pronouns are we using for Crowbane?
He, him is cool for me.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Okay, then last we have our Pillar. So the rulebook says, the Pillar is a normal cat of the Haven, content to live in the society they are part of. There are many within the Haven who are complacent. The Pillar is just one of them. They push the hero toward accepting the status quo. However, the Pillar is not necessarily opposed to the hero. There's someone the hero can talk to about the Haven. So for the Pillar, we also pick their relationship to the hero, their occupation, and their identity.
I mean, we could go in the other direction and have it be Axel's mentor. So it's like we've got like 3 generations.
I like the 3 generations idea. I don't know about touching on. I mean, it could still be interesting, but I don't know about touching on the same profession
Right.
3 times necessarily.
Yeah. I mean, or it could be like maybe one of Axel's litter mates. I don't know what you call it with kittens. But
Yeah, litter mates
a
would be the
sibling.
term.
Yeah.
So like a sibling type relationship.
Right.
That's not bad, but that means that probably one of the most important things will be what is their profession? What do they do in life?
So I'm kind of playing with this idea of maybe the sibling didn't go out into the void. Maybe there's some limitation that prevented them from taking the traditional journey to the void, but they still find a way in society to contribute. Does that make sense?
Right. Well, the tradition wasn't going into the void. It was the naming hunt.
Okay, yeah,
But,
maybe they can't physically hunt, but they had to
right.
like hunt for knowledge or inspiration
Right.
within the haven
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. Like they're lame in one leg. So even though they're grown, they're still considered a kitten.
What if they're a scholar of our
Yeah,
haven?
I like the scholar idea. I'm not sure I'd want to infantilize this role simply because they're lame or they couldn't perform something. I like maybe they had to go on like a hunt for knowledge or something like that within the
Right.
haven.
Right. Or they
But
did some really symbolic hunt where they
yeah,
came back with a grasshopper.
They're the person in all of like the teen movies who is told that they have to pass a test, and they come up with their own way to pass the test that is against all of anything that's done. No one's ever done it this way before. That kind of a thing. So they're does them being a scholar jive with you, Stephen?
Yeah, I think that sounds like an interesting contrast to the other two.
I like that.
Okay.
And their name, they're Axel's sibling, and they didn't get their name traditionally. So, what kind of name would that result in?
Speaker.
Hmm, I like it.
Is that good
And
for you, Christina?
Sounds good.
Okay.
to round out our pronouns a little bit, do you mind if they're she, her?
I don't
Yeah, I
mind.
was yeah, I was going to suggest that.
Okay. Cool. And then we can always tell who we're talking about based on pronouns. Okay. And what color is speaker?
How about orange? Tabby.
Cool. All right. So we've got our. Oh, we forgot to give our haven a name. So what are we going to call this community of cats living in the forest median between the sides of the highway?
There's really silly routes we could go with this. and then
I have a suggestion for silly, but I mean, I want to make sure that
Go.
matches the tone of. So I was thinking that like we're there's this pile of crap raining down from the void,
Yeah.
and where do cats seek their solace but in boxes? Sort of if I fit size sits, so we could call it like Box Town. I'm having trouble translating that to a location name, but like Box Town, pile of boxes, box pile, something like that.
Boxylvania.
Yeah, I'm fine with Boxtown.
Okay.
Or we could like do box in another language, cajon, or something like that. But let's just stick to English, I think.
Okay. So we got Boxtown, our cat colony in the median. Okay. All right. So is 5 minutes good for everyone?
Yeah, let's take
All
a
right.
quick break.
All right.
Sounds
So it's about 9 by my clock, so I'll see you at 5 after the hour.
Okay.
All right, so I think we're all back. Christina, you're there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. I thought your webcam on. I didn't quite see if you're back. All right. So the way that the play works is that in each round, we'll have our 3 roles allocated to the 3 of you. Then, so the first step is that the Pillars player will describe one of our traditions becoming corrupted by the flaw. Then second step, the person playing the hero will frame a scene about the hero, and we'll kind of play that out. The Fallen and the Pillar may show up in the scene, or those players may jump in to play other characters that are part of the scene, and kind of use those characters to sort of carry out their assigned role. Then third step, the Fallen will frame a scene that's about the hero. So again, hero will play their character. Other 2 players can play either their character or NPCs as necessary. Then step 4, the hero will reflect on the current state of the Haven and give a little sort of interior monologue narration. And that completes 1 round. Then we rotate who is playing which role, do another round. And at any point after the first 2 rounds, so to make sure that everyone gets a chance to play all 3 roles, but at any point we can kind of collectively decide that we've reached the point where our haven is totally ready to collapse, and so then the following round that we play will be the last one, and then we do the epilogue after that. So we kind of collectively decide when to end things when we feel it's right, and or our session time is almost up. So does anyone want to volunteer to play a particular one of our characters in the first go around?
I'd rather not frame the first conflict. I'd rather somebody who's played it before do that.
Same here.
Okay, Justin, are you willing to? Are you willing to be our hero first?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm gonna, for each round, I'll put in the chat who is which role to help us kind of keep that straight, and we'll rotate them clockwise on my screen. So that would make Justin the hero, Stephen the Fallen, and Christina the Pillar. Okay, so that actually means that Christina starts us off by describing one of our traditions being corrupted by the flaw.
Okay, I'm just going to click back from this StreamYard window to the character keeper. Okay, so I guess one of the things that is it's kind of hard for me to choose some of these because these traditions are rooted in the flaw, but then they're going to be like taken that like one step too far. So that might be something I need help with, but I'll give it my best shot the first go around. So let's try art as the first tradition being corrupted. So now I frame a scene around the corruption of art by vanity. Correct?
No, you don't have to frame a scene. You just describe, in brief, how that tradition has become corrupted.
Okay. So the way I understand our previous articulation of pre-corruption articulation of art is someone finds something from the void and then they come back. They are honor bound to come back and celebrate the finding of it with some sort of party. How about that the vanity becomes less about the celebration of the object and more about the celebration of the cat who found it?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, that sounds great. All right, so our hero now frames a scene about themselves.
I think that the scene is I have recently returned from an expedition outside of the Haven, which we will not talk about. But on my return, I came across a bauble. Let's just say it was something like just meets the threshold. Let's say it was like a marble, a beautiful marble, and not being a particularly vain cat, I am celebrating this marble in public with a sonnet or a poem or something, but loudly nearby, in the middle of our haven, if I think that there is someone else who is more celebrating themselves, and the some great finding. One of you could play them. I imagine that they would be played by the fallen, but a pillar might work as well. Maybe you can help me describe what that is. I'm imagining like whatever I am doing, whatever I'm like singing or reciting. I'm keep getting interrupted by whatever's happening next door.
Yeah.
Who's playing the fallen right now, by the way?
I am. So yeah. So you're reciting this.
Yeah. How about Crowbane? I mean, maybe it is just Crowbane. Because as the fallen, you can take control of other characters too, right? But
yeah.
Maybe it is just like Crowbane outdoing me.
I'd like to clarify. So you're singing a song about your found marble, and Crowbane is outdoing you because due to another found object type of thing.
Right. I think that I have not like my version of this celebration is just like performing in public. I didn't invite anyone to a party, and I'm not like making a big deal about everything. I'm literally the camera can show me in this glade or whatever, relatively peaceful portion of the Haven. I'm just holding up this marble like it's Yorick or something, exclaiming, what sparkles doth.
Yeah, and while you're doing this,
yes.
Crowbane enters the clearing, ostentatiously carrying a dirty piece of paper in his mouth. I mean, this is not something that would get a celebration. But he marches up to you with his tail slashing the air like he's a mighty hunter. And as you finish the sonnet, he puts the piece of paper down in the glade, and it begins howling this song of triumph, and he's clearly mocking you. He is the mighty discoverer who has found this great treasure.
I will give you probably a patient but annoyed bow, Crowbane. Do you see what I have found? It glimmers in the night.
Yes, and you think because you travel far and bring strange objects, all of the cats of Thwaxtown should hunt and feast in your honor. This is nothing. This is trash.
Do you like swat it out of my hand?
Yeah, I think I do, and it goes rolling
Yeah.
away, and like the cats, they're all. This is all too dignified an occasion for them to chase after, but you can tell they all want to.
Well, I'm a pillar cat, and I definitely chase after
Okay,
it. What's
yeah.
up?
I look annoyed, but I just calmly like brush myself off, and I said, "Well, what do you have there? What is it you wish to celebrate?"
This is a fabulous treasure. This is a reminder of the worthlessness of all mortality. We are all like this piece of paper. We blow through the void. We are dirty and torn, and ultimately we are nothing.
Let me see that paper.
Isn't it a lovely piece of paper? So marvelous. Why, they should throw me 2 feasts for this paper.
It is indeed very very beautiful in its ordinary nature, and I'll hand it back to you. I think it's like some ad that I've seen a bunch of outside of the Haven.
It's an ad for toe bean cleaning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Axel, you offer the people glamour and celebration of your acts of heroism, but this is all a distraction from the real business of of the of the of the Haven. We cannot spend all our time singing your praises, appeasing your vanity.
My vanity.
Yes, your vanity. Why else do you come and deposit these goods if not for us to hunt in your honor, feast in your honor, sing your praises?
I follow my passion, Crowsbane. Unlike some, I follow my heart, not the praises of others.
Yes, and following your heart always somehow leads to praise. You always bring some object.
Oh, who has been praising me in my absence?
It's not your absence I am talking about. It is your constant returns. How many times have you left and how many times have you come back? Make up your mind, Axel. Make up your mind.
My mind is made up. You'll be happy to know. I am staying this time. No more traveling for me.
Well, that will be an uncommon pleasure. Or should I say, it will become a common pleasure.
I hope it shall. If we are to live together, perhaps I can offer you this. A celebration of your finding. So, what is it to be? Are we to have a feast in its honor?
This is a rare treat. You are taking my role. Perhaps I should take yours. Perhaps I should venture into the void and have people sing my praises on my return. Wouldn't that be a
whisper
fun?
like, no matter what I do, he always makes it about himself. And I'll kind of meander off. As I to end.
Oh, Justin just froze just as we were ending
Sorry,
that
camera
scene.
switching.
Okay.
How does Crowsbane continue with their own celebration as we kind of fade to black on the scene?
Yeah, you froze there, and we missed the tail end of that.
Sorry, hotel internet. How does as I walk off? And we fade to black? How does Crowsbane like continue to celebrate themselves?
I think like the other cats, they watched this interruption, and it's like, yeah, okay, now we're going to go hunt, and we're going to have the feast. And
I'm a little pillar kitten, so I chased off the marble and I like went to fetch it, right? So why don't I come back and I've observed these exchanges of events and I give Crowsbane a a bow to stick in their fur to commemorate their finding of the paper or something like that. So it's a bauble.
Nice.
Okay, so that's the hero scene. So now the fallen will frame a scene that's about the hero and that the hero will be part of.
so this is supposed to challenge the hero somehow. I think there's a cat who heard you announce that you were no longer leaving the Haven, and at the feast, this cat that's called Proudtail. They stand up and announce that they will be the new messenger.
How does that challenge me? Are they a particularly ill-suited successor?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're vain, and they haven't really traveled outside Boxtown much. So you probably question whether they're up to it.
So they're overconfident.
Right.
Well, I might have to pay them a visit.
And it's like as Crowsbane, it's like, yes, you see that you are easily replaced, Axel.
I don't think that's true. You haven't seen what I have seen, and neither has this fellow. I'd best attend to them, teach them what I've learned, not in any official capacity, mind you. I haven't chosen a new apprentice just yet, but
Are you treating them as a kitten then? To be taught and tutored?
No, of course not. I've given up messaging in an official capacity, but that doesn't mean that I don't have many important and, well, frankly, dire messages to impart upon this individual. The outside world is it's a difficult place compared to the Haven.
Are you trying to teach him or frighten him off?
I'm trying to explain to you, Crosbane, I am not as self-obsessed as you think I am.
Of course not. Proud, brave Axel, worthy Axel, humble Axel, Axel with no flaws.
What have I done to deserve this, Crosbane? Once we were soulmates, apprentice and mentee, mentor. Sorry.
You grew proud, Axel. You grew very, very proud.
And you grew old, older than beyond your years. You soured, Crosbane.
I have learned the harsh lesson of life. Have you never truly grieved for what is lost, for what is always being lost? How can you look at our situation and not feel grief, not be overwhelmed with sadness?
Things are dire, I suppose, but I'm staying because I love the Haven. I love Boxtown. I want to impart what I know, what I've learned about the outside world, so that we don't follow that same path.
And we are all kittens here for you to teach. You set yourself above all of us. You claim to have wisdom that none of us share.
I don't think Axel would say it out loud, but I think they're beginning to see that maybe, or they're starting to assume that Crowsbane is deeply hurt by us, and I think that might be. I think that they assume it's because of all the many times that we left them. And I wonder if out of character, if that's correct.
Well, maybe we'll find out.
Okay. Well, I have a successor to visit.
I hope you may be of some service to him.
I think I'll set off to visit this. What was their name?
Proudtail.
Proudtail.
I put it in the chat.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm also jotting down any NPCs in the character keeper document.
Do we want to roleplay that out, or was that even a scene, or was that just supposed to be an interlude that we kind of turned into a scene?
I mean, I think that was a scene.
Okay, cool. So that was the second scene, and then the last thing, our hero reflects on what's been happening.
Ah, yes, the reflection. So I think that I go to talk to Proudtail, and they obviously didn't even, like, they're surprised to see me. Like, they didn't even think, whenever they took up the job of messenger without talking to me or anything, they just kind of thought, oh, that's a prestigious position. I'm going to do that now. I see an opportunity. I'm going to take it. And I have a long talking to with them about, like, all of the difficulties of the outside world and such that they're taking on. And I think that in reflecting back with my interactions with Crowsbane, I've returned with a lot of optimism about how I can help this community, but I'm starting to see that there's some deep wounds within some of the community members that even maybe I might have had some part in creating, and I want to do my best to mend those wounds.
Okay, excellent. All right, so now we'll do another round. So rotate the roles. So I just put it in the chat for reference. So Christina will play our hero, Justin will be the fallen, and Stephen will be the pillar. So our pillar starts us off by describing one of our traditions becoming corrupted.
Let's see.
I think Proud Tale. There are these songs to celebrate his leaving the colony for the first time, but he doesn't go right away. He heads toward the void and comes back and says, "Oh no, the time wasn't right. I'm going to do it tomorrow." And they sing again the next day, and he comes up back with some other excuse, and it's like it's the third night, and people are starting to get fed up with him. This is the third round of songs.
Okay, so milking those songs. I like it. All right, so our hero gets to frame a scene.
So for some reason, my spacebar is hotkeyed to my webcam and not the mute function. So, whoops. Okay. So Proud Tale's on his third day of songs, and I think I'm gonna start in medias res, so in the middle of the third singing of Proud Tale's going. Proud Tale is in this circle of seers off cats, whatever you want to call them, and Proud Tale's still looking like he's gonna bail. That might, I don't know what Proud Tale's. I'm gonna go with he, I guess. Proud Tale is still looking like he's going to bail, and so the hero comes up, has been called in by the pillar. Maybe the pillar sort of keeps tabs on the community, and someone has dropped a hint to the pillar that Proud Tale might want to bail, and so the hero is called in to sort of make sure that Proud Tale doesn't bail. And so I guess I come in and walk in and I guess I'll start a dialogue with Proud Tale. I don't know who Proud Tale is among the three of us, but I guess it's Proud Tale is a pillar character or a fallen.
They were created by the Fallen, so I that's what I assumed. But
okay, yeah, I think that's what I remember from my first session. So, do you want to play the Fallen then, Justin, or Proud Tale?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I think that Proud Tale is a young, rather naive, orange and white cat who is very excited to suddenly be in this new position that they've heard so much about from your own stories. You've really made all of your exits and returns have just been fabulous. All of the ballads and the epics about all of the journeys, which you, of course, we never go into detail about what you did whenever you do them, but by how you talk about the return songs, they must be really fantastic. So I think when you arrive, we're surprised. But as far as bailing, I'm very jittery right now.
Okay.
There's a lot of responsibility being heaped on me that I didn't realize I was I was accepting when I declared myself the messenger.
Oh, Proudtail. Please don't tell me this is going to turn into day 4 of the songs.
It will be fine. I'm sure. I've been told to gird myself for disappointment if I cannot attend to my duties today. But perhaps you have some helpful advice for me.
You know, I remember what my first journey was like. I was, sitting there with the person who had mentored me, and I was scared. I didn't know what was out there. I'd been in Boxtown my whole life. I have my favorite box that I go to for solace. I know our traditions, but I remember that sense of dread as I was walking out of Boxtown, as I got further and further away. But once you see the wide open nothingness, it changes you. And the thing that draws you back to Boxtown is the sense of accomplishment you're going to feel, and just think about all of those songs. Of course, if you think about it the right way, it's less about the things you see and find, and less about like how you're changed as a person. It's more about how you add to the story of Boxtown.
I walk across my little hovel to a pile of boxes of deliveries, basically, that are probably like plain brown paper with like twine bows and stuff like that. And it's it's kind of a ridiculous cartoonish amount of them. And I just say, but how do you handle the responsibility? I mean, like literally handle it. It's so much.
I mean, you've got a point there, Proudtail. It seems like sometimes we're running out of space, We're running out of places to fit and sit. But our traditions must continue. And remember, it's never about yourself. It's about everything else but yourself.
But this seems so difficult. I'm frankly shocked. How can they expect one cat to deliver a box this, and like I lift like the heaviest one and I barely can lift it, of this size? I'm a singer. I create stories. I didn't know it would be like this. I've never even heard of this place. Hemingway Road? What is a road?
Is the road really a thing, or is it only the thing that is it only within you?
I'm sure that will mean something after my first journey. But right
I'm sure you'll do fine, Proudtail.
Now that I think of it, you've given me confidence. I can do this. It just needs a little adjustment. Maybe I can't take all of these boxes on this first journey. Maybe I need to scale back a bit, and I go around and I just find like the smallest little like ring size box or something like that, and I'm like, yes, I could deliver this box. And then when you or one of our compatriots make a great ballad about it, my return, I'll have confidence, and that will bolster me for the next journey.
And maybe you'll take a slightly bigger box then.
Well, I mean, what does it matter? No one will be watching. Life is about the journey, not what you do on that journey. That's what they say.
Like that. Yeah, I guess that's what they say in Boxtown.
Yes, the details don't matter.
Maybe not for cats.
I don't know. I mean, all of your stories have been, well, welcomings and goodbyes. What was your first journey like? Your first delivery?
My first journey. I was tasked with delivering a very pleasant smelling herb. And the messenger who tried to give me instructions about this plant was incredibly incapacitated by the plant and just was able to point down the road and say, go where the herb leads you. And so I took this and I tried to avoid smelling the herb, and I walked for many days and nights until I came to another colony of cats, much like our own, except instead of sitting in boxes, they sat on piles of papers that they had gathered up from the road.
Proudtail, during this, he's listening intently, but he's growing more and more terrified, like a terrified look on his face as you like continue this epic drug trip of a story. And then he said, but then he suddenly calms down. It's like, well, thank you, Axel. I think I know what I must do now. You've been very gracious, and I will remember your advice.
Go where there is no trail, and instead, never mind. I was trying to quote Robert Frost, but we can just rewind that.
I get the gist. So, what does the hero feel about my chances?
I'm not feeling so great about it, to be honest. I feel like I feel like as a messenger, personally, I remember how much I had to make sense of like going out of this world, the only world I'd ever known, essentially up until that point, and then just going on that first catnip and enhanced journey, and realizing that the cats on the other side of the road are like us, but they also do things a lot differently. So I didn't really like think about, noting down details of that first trip. But I think that, there's a small sliver of hope for Proudtail, especially, once you took that small box instead of a large box. I was like, yeah, this could be a thing. You didn't like go into a fourth day of songs. So.
Excellent.
I'm sorry, I'm playing this really toony, but I can. It's cats.
No, I love it.
It's cats, yeah. Okay, so now the why am I drawing a blank on the name? The Fallen.
The Fallen
sets up the scene.
I know exactly what it is. Many months later, or whatever, weeks, it's cat time, right? Many weeks later, a pile of boxes of undelivered messages is found on the edge of the community. And this creates a dilemma, as it means our records our records are incorrect in terms of like what was delivered and what was returned. I think that Proudtail has literally been forging the responses, and he's been like, in some cases, delivering messages from one cat in the haven and returning another to them, which is probably where the first suspicions began, that they were not actually being sent out of the community. And in fact, Proudtail has been in hiding. I think our hero discovers that this has been happening, and I would love to see a scene with them taking this issue up with their sibling speaker.
Yeah.
So are we in speakers like library or home or library box, I guess?
I would like that, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Speaker, can you tell me a little bit about like where you are right now in terms of?
Yeah, it's this sort of it's a big box, but it's like long and narrow. So he's got all sorts of bits and pieces of things in the box, like samples of herbs which have plants and herbs which have dried out, and rocks, and pieces of detritus from the provider, which have been particularly interesting, and he's taken them back there. It's this collection of stuff.
So is he displaying this stuff to say, like, look at all the things and the knowledge I have learned kind of way? I'm just trying to set the scene.
Right.
Okay.
Right. It's partly that, and partly it's that he's just a hoarder.
Okay. Hoarder cats, I can dig that. So what's our hero's name? Axel. Axel walks into the box, and Axel's a really, really big cat. And Speaker, I guess, is not a small thing either. You know, and Axel tries to walk into this long and narrow box, but finds very, very little room where they can make a monorail shape that the cats are usually accustomed to. And so they are backed into a corner in such a way that they can see the collection. And so it's like, hey, Speaker, I've been hearing some things about Proudtail.
Yes.
And apparently things don't look too good with the whole delivery thing.
Yes, it's the talk of the cats. Everyone is talking about. I think some of the cats are talking about exiling Proudtail.
Really? Why?
Because he's lied to us.
He's lied.
He claims that he's delivered our messages, and he's just been hiding them. He hasn't been traveling away from the colony at all. It's everyone is hurt. I mean, I don't think we should exile Proudtail, but everyone is hurt. Everyone feels betrayed.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Proudtail has been lying because he's been addicted to the songs. You know, he just wants to hear about all the things he supposedly did without really putting in the effort and putting in the work. It sounds like we should talk to Proudtail, the both of us.
If we can find him, but...
Where's the last place anyone saw him? You're the one that keeps track of this community, right?
Well, he was hiding all of he was hiding all of these things in a hollow under an oak tree, and I think he's been hiding there while he's been pretending to be away from the colony. But I don't know where he would have gone now, because people are watching it. But Axel, we need you to go out again. We need you to deliver the messages. We need to find out what's happening with the other cats.
Do you think the other cats would know where Proudtail is?
No, but all the messages, you have to deliver the messages, Axel. Nobody else can.
I'm willing to step in briefly for Messenger, but I also want to keep track of where the heck Proudtail is. He has to face what the damages that he's done to this community. I want to see if I can right his ways.
Oh, I'll help you look, Axel, but I don't know what's going to become of us. Nobody will trust him again.
Go ahead.
I mean, even if he wants to continue, nobody is going to entrust their messages to him.
I mean, he's got to face the music sometimes. You can't just be celebrated for things you didn't do. The celebrations are fine if you actually do things, right? But if it's just celebration for the sake of celebration, then I don't know. I don't like that.
You know, what if we all lied about what we did? And what if we all just sat around while things piled up, obligations piled up? What if we just sat in our boxes like cats and didn't do anything because we like being cats? Sorry.
I think you've just summed up our game.
Well,
we can walk it back if we need to, but
I mean, I hope you aren't criticizing me when you say that.
I don't know what you're talking about, speaker.
And I sort of lick myself. I look at my collection that I've been piling up in my box. Well, all right, let's go look for Proudtail, and we'll see what can be done.
But I am going to exercise my right as fallen to introduce. But there is a cost here. I don't think everything just goes swimmingly for the hero in this scene.
Okay.
Yeah, I think either you find something that doesn't go, that isn't good, or some kind of danger is introduced to the scene.
Like danger from the outside cats, or danger from society, or like the haven itself.
It could be unrest, but I have one thought.
Sure.
Which is that kind of makes sense. Which is that you go to find Proudtail, only for Crowsbane to appear with Proudtail under their wing and declare that they have taken on an apprentice for the first time, and that they will stand in the way of anyone who would besmirch the honor of such a proud messenger, a worthy messenger.
I see.
Mm-hmm. And they're essentially going to refute your version of events.
I like.
Crowsbane, are you saying that he did deliver all of the messages? What is this pile that we found under the tree? How do you explain that?
Things are delivered from the outside, from the void, every day. It's only logical that some would find their way back to us. Isn't that right, Proudtail? And I think he just nods very sheepishly.
What proof do you have, Crowsbane?
Well, I have a message that I myself asked Proudtail to deliver, and why, here is the reply. And he unfurls this very long a scroll that falls to the ground. I think the end of it just is loose, limp on the ground, and it's this probably, if you read it, very banal, but it's like this really banal conversation between him and someone from the outside, basically. I think it's literally a recitation of one of his mulings. So that just goes into great detail about the pain of love unrequited.
The pain of a nation.
Yeah, exactly. Of a Boxtown nation. And he offers that as proof that Proudtail has made at least one delivery.
I mean, that's one delivery, but there's a big ass pile of boxes at the edge of Boxtown that begs to differ. We're running out of space, man. Regardless if Proudtail did or did not do the deliveries, I want to accompany him on one final delivery for myself. We have to get rid of some of these, man. And some of these are a 2-cat job, you know what I'm saying? And if Proudtail is all that he says he is, he can come with me and go into the void one last time with me.
You're always making it about yourself, Axel. But I will allow it. As
if anyone else isn't. But
as Proudtail's honored mentor, I will deign for you to take him out on a trip on one delivery of my choosing.
That's fine. I'm sort of saying that's fine in a way that like recognizes the sanctity, if you will, of the mentor-mentee relationship. Even if I have doubts of your motives, it's still like something that we don't touch in the society.
I think this whole time I do like have I'm talking to you very boisterously, and Proudtail is very meek, but I do have like one hand on their back, as if we're fast, we're best of friends all of a sudden. And I declare to you that here, and I reach down and I pick up this very small box. Proudtail and you will deliver this to an old friend.
Where are we going?
To a place that I have heard is quite beautiful, quite aromatic. The beach, it is called.
All right.
And I think on the box it just has the name. What does it have? I'm going to use the name that was offered earlier. It has Hades, Seagull, Esquire.
I'm good with calling the scene there if you guys want.
Okay.
I'm cool with it.
Sure.
Okay, so then we get a reflection from our hero.
So I am reflecting. I'm just rereading the reflection on current state of the Haven. I see. Okay. So I'm not feeling great about the Haven. If I was before, I'm definitely not now. I definitely think something is up with Cursebane. I am deeply suspicious of Cursebane. And I suspect that whatever Cursbane's motives are for their own like self-glorification. I'm also like concerned about the just sheer amount of stuff that's piling up and everyone's lack of concern about it besides me. I seem to be the only one.
Christina, your mic is going off the rails here. Frankly, it sounds like a car wreck.
Do you want to try maybe disconnecting and reconnecting? Hang on, let me.
Crap, is this better?
Oh.
Yes, that's a lot better.
Wow, crap. I'm sorry, I didn't realize. So I've been having my Bluetooth headphones. So you might get feedback from yourselves because I'm no longer wearing headphones. But yeah, did you need me to re-say any of what I had just said?
If you could just recap the whole thing, because you started to go weird pretty soon into it. So
after you said you were not feeling confident.
Okay, that's basically the first thing I said. So I am feeling like very alarmed that no one else is recognizing the like sheer amount of crap that's piling up. That's the first reflection. The second reflection is I'm deeply suspicious of Cursebane, and I'm starting to recognize that they might be using Proudtail as a naive pawn. They might be using Proudtail's quest for glory to inflate their own like sense of accomplishment as a mentor. If there are any other things I can reflect upon, I probably need a little bit of help as someone who hasn't played this game a whole lot. If you need any more clarification beyond that.
I think that's pretty good. The reflection doesn't have to be anything extended or elaborate. Just a kind of a check-in on the hero's thoughts. So that brings us to our next round. So I'll put the roles in the chat here. We're going to have, so Stephen becomes the hero. Christina becomes the fallen, and Justin is our pillar. And so from here on out, as we're beginning a new round, at any point we can just kind of agree that this would be the last one because we feel like the story's gotten to where it's going, or because we're out of time. We do have about an hour left in our scheduled session there. So if we haven't done it before then, when we're getting into 20 minutes or so left, we'll have to call it our last one then. But yeah, so for our last round, so Justin, you're our pillar, so you can corrupt one of our traditions.
Beautiful. I think the tradition that I'm going to corrupt is fashion. I think, we already have fur styling that connotes social status. But I think that in the community, people start dictating who may and may not wear such and such an item. And if you're not deemed as, of high enough social status, you might in fact be mocked or, scalded in a song, or be put down as a fool in the annals of our histories for wearing the wrong thing.
So you're going to be roasted, is what you're saying.
You're going to be roasted. Thank you. Yes. Yes, exactly. And of course, our fallen Crowsbane and his mentee Proudtail are indulging in this on the side.
Okay, so Stephen, give us a scene for our hero.
I think the messenger, there's traditionally an item that they wear on their collar. It's like this dangly ball thing, and I passed it on to Proudtail when I gave up the role. But now, as we're preparing to go out together, I've found like a replacement ball, and I think like Crowsbane is like, you aren't entitled to wear that. You aren't the messenger. How does that sound to you?
It sounds good. I can play with that.
Yeah, so it's like we're there have so yeah, we're at the songs of the two cats leaving the haven, and I've shown up with this ornament, which I think Speaker found it in their box somewhere.
some kind of like relic, something that was one of the first things to be found to be delivered from the void, perhaps to our hate to bless our hate.
Yeah, I think maybe Speaker has found a way to attach the marble which I brought back that other time. Attach it to my collar.
Of course. That's actually really great.
Okay, so Crowsbane in all of this sees the marble and is like, that thing which was eclipsed by that beautiful piece of paper that's somewhere in my box that I can't remember where it is, but that thing, you're wearing that?
Yes, Crowsbane. Do you object?
I do. It looks awful.
Well, I think it looks lovely.
You do you, friend, but I might write a song about that marble when you come back.
Oh, I look forward to hearing it. Your songs are always so amusing. Not always in the best of taste, but...
Yes, they are. I'm a very fine songwriter. I say very self-confidently, and I give myself my like paw a little lick and like, you know, do that whole like quaffing of the hair that cats do, you know what I'm saying?
I'm imagining the brushing of the nails kind of a thing, but with a cat. It's like claws.
Yes. Well, you will do what you will do, as always. Proudtail, are you ready to depart?
That's me too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, unless you want to have Stentor maybe jump in.
If I could play them to note like maybe a lack of, they're maybe a little less confident than they were. Maybe they are corrupted by maybe something is happening to, you know, if I could play them, but that would denote that they have a change of heart somehow.
I'd be fine with that. I find it kind of difficult as sort of a novice story gamer to play two characters at once, so I would appreciate that.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I think everyone would have trouble with that. Yeah, I think that to denote that, Proudtail just looks like really nervous. They're holding the box and they've like been done up in maybe actually Crowsbane has dressed them. Is that proper to say to assume, or at least you've instructed me on my dress, and I'm very coiffed, and I think there's maybe like a curl and a bow in my hair or something.
I think I've tried to make you as like gaudy as possible. Like I think Crowsbane thinks like the more is more kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So you are, yeah, I think that's more is more, and you're definitely dressed by Crowsbane.
If I might add a detail, I want to say that whatever I'm doing my hair in, I think it's something like herringbone, like literal herringbone or something like that.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, and I'll walk over to Proudtail, and like I'll just I think I'll lick them, groom them in a way that is like a parent grooming a little like a parent grooming a kitten, but it's sort of a gesture of you've got this. It's like you can be confident. It's like reassuring.
And Crowsbane, seeing a glinting piece of aluminum foil drifting by in the wind, picks it up and ties it into a bow, because cats have thumbs in this universe, and adds it to Proudtail's tail, I guess, saying, "There, perfect." And sort of that's Crowsbane's way of saying you can do it, because it's not about
Proudtail. It's about Crowsbane ornamenting Crowsbane's creation and sending it off into the void, So I'm seeing Proudtail as more of an object of art rather than a cat unto themselves.
I will make you all proud, and I'll make a little bow. Shall we be off?
Yeah. Yes. Let's go. It's like the lead to the way. I am just here.
Yes,
to observe.
Of course. I know where to go.
Yes.
And probably for the first portion of our journey, I'll do that thing where
right.
I'm walking in front of you, but like trying my best to just barely, so that I can like get a hint at where you're actually leading us.
Right, and I think as soon as we're out of sight of the other cats, it's like I move forward a little bit, and pretty soon I'm leading and you're following. But I'm careful to save face while the other cats can see us. Again, I feel like that's the scene.
Is it? Okay. Sure. Yeah, I definitely, probably the last of Proudtail you see in that scene is them, like, brushing if cats could sweat, like brushing sweat off of his brow in relief that you've allowed him to save face. All right, so actually, I do have to ask, because I think it's a fun part of this game. For a Fallen, was that enough?
Was that enough in terms of the scene, or?
Do you want something bad to have happened in that scene?
Let me think. I wanted to introduce like another NPC if you guys were going to narrate down the path, but that might be another scene unto itself. I can't think of anything else to add personally. Maybe as a consequence. No, I was going to say lose your way, but I don't have enough idea of what your destination is to know it. Like if that would be a bad.
Well,
right. Well, I think you frame the next scene, right?
Right.
So yeah, so you could certainly narrate some sort of obstacle that we come across on the journey.
Okay, I'll leave it for that then.
not to mention, with the previous setup, you are literally have dictated where we are going.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to go see Hades. Okay, I'll think a bit about the scene then, but I won't issue a consequence because I can't think of one, and it would take me very long to think of one.
That's cool.
So I can go one of two directions. I could sort of narrate something that happens down this road, or I can, according to the book at least, one of the suggested scene types is show how the downfall develops based on what the hero did or didn't do to help the Haven. Challenge the hero and make life difficult. Okay, what if along the road you come across, here's a concept of a scene and I could use some help framing it. Let's put it that way. So my idea is you come across this big, like sort of this, I want to give the two characters a choice, whether they want to continue on to Hades, Seagull, whoever that is, or what if they come across the largest piece of gift from the provider they've ever seen. And instead of, delivering this sort of proof that there is a functional messenger in the community, they are tempted by just this beautiful thing. And I think that thing is, the most luxurious peacock feather on the end of a silken scarf that is being dangled in the wind or suspended by some sort of rod. Take that, whatever you want it to be. Does that make sense in terms of a scene of temptation?
Yeah. And Proudtail is like all for it. Which is like, but have you ever seen such a thing?
Yeah.
We have to bring it back. Think of the praise.
And I'm going to say that this object is large enough that it requires 2 cats to carry back. It's not like you can just take the easy way out and, one cat does this and one cat does that. It's a 2 cat.
Right. I think like if one cat were bringing it back, they would have to like drag it on the ground. It would get ruined. So 2 cats cooperating, like carrying each end, could manage it.
Imagine this and this beautiful object placed in the center of the haven where everyone can enjoy it.
Yes, but we do. We
I can
promise.
really resist.
It's beautiful, all right, but we're nearly at Hades, and if we don't deliver the message, what will people say?
Well, I mean, it's just you and me. We can say we delivered the message. I mean, that's what I was doing. And it turned out okay.
And it's like a hiss.
Maybe you should deliver the message, and I'll stay here and see if I can get some help. We can both get what we want.
What I want is to no longer be the messenger, to show that there is someone else who can do it. And you're saying you are not going to deliver the message. You're just going to lie. The whole point of this trip was to prove that you could be honest, that you could do what you said you would do.
Well, fine. Let's just tell everyone when we return that there was a one-of-a-kind opportunity, and we couldn't pass it up. The message will be delivered later.
I agreed to escort you once, Proudtail. Once.
Look, you don't want to deliver that message anyway. Trust me.
Why? What trick has Crowbane played on?
No trick. I'm just saying it's not. I mean, a Hades? That doesn't sound like a very savory individual to you, does it?
You know more than you're saying.
I'm gonna pull my coif a little bit.
What did Crowbane tell you about this trip?
Is Axel furious right now, or are they concerned?
I think he is angry.
Okay.
And suspicious.
Well, Crowsbane, he has an understanding with the birds, you see.
An understanding?
Yes. I mean, he skims some of the gifts off the top, some of the shinier bottles, and they do favors for him. That's all I'm going to say.
And these birds, they were supposed to get rid of me, I suppose.
Don't worry about that. I mean, hey, a bird made this, and it's beautiful. We should think about that.
And you plan to return on your own, I suppose, with some tale of my death and your heroic efforts to rescue me.
I don't want any
Has
harm to come to anyone.
has Crowbane already written the song of mourning?
Look, I mean, you haven't written your own?
I hardly expected to sing of my own death.
Well, I mean, it doesn't really have to. Nothing bad has to happen, is what I'm trying to say. This is just a farce, sending this message. We could. Why don't we just return with the feather here? It's so beautiful.
Yes, very
I'm sure
well.
the Haven everyone in the Boxtown would. Well, they'd have a heyday.
Very well. We will return with this feather.
Let us forget about our worries.
And Crowbane and I will have words.
Oh, feather. I think it's going to be a long journey back. It's hard not to stop for playtime on occasion with such a beautiful object in tow.
Yeah, but I sort of feel like this is the scene and it's leading up to the collapse.
Well, that's what we're supposed to be doing. So
right,
there we are.
Right. So that then the next go round will be the collapse.
No, we don't. It doesn't collapse until the very ending.
So there's going to be a consequence. So so I'm clear on what your decision is. You don't deliver the package to the crow, Hades.
Right.
You admit to some conspiracy with the crows and the baubles. You decide instead to lie about the delivery to Hades and then pick up the feather toy and go back to Boxtown.
Right.
That's what Proudtail is planning on doing, but I'm not sure would Axel lie or would they be just indigent?
Indignant. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm planning to tell the cats as a whole what I found out, that this was a plan by Crowbane.
And while you're doing that, Proudtail will take in all the accolades for bringing back the feather.
Okay.
So there's going to be consequences to this. Couple of them. So I don't think that there are any more deliveries out of Boxtown. Everyone thinks that, this was it. In fact, the thing that we were supposed to deliver to Hades was a missive from the cats of Boxtown to the crows of Crowtown, asking if they would like to set up automated delivery in a few days. Sort of a bobble for service type of things. We have a lot of stuff. They have a lot of need for shiny stuff. It was going to be sort of like a Meowson Prime or something like that, where we were trying to help them help us kind of thing, because I wasn't too sure about this whole situation. But that doesn't go on. So instead, things just begin to pile up, and they are starting to tower around the perimeters of the community, sort of like a really unstable Jenga tower. And in addition to this, I'll say that the feather toy is sort of taken as this divine sign from the provider of the cats of Boxtown, and everyone is entranced by it. They are just utterly enraptured by it. Yeah, I think that's good. Those are two consequences. No more deliveries and total ceasing of function.
Do feathers and such start becoming the height of status and fashion? Like fronds from the great feather are worn by the proudest of cats.
Yes, and the larger and more colorful the feather, the better. So Instead of just looking for things from detritus, the cats start to go out, like maybe to hunt birds beyond their abilities to try and get feathers. Unless we don't want to go there, but they start to become cannibalistic. Or I guess cats are cannibals, but like no, not cannibals. They start to become like more just they're hunting not for food but for feathers.
Absolutely, yeah. Out of pride. So, Stephen, I think you reflect on the situation.
Yeah, and Axel he's disillusioned because not only has Proudtail let the community down, but nobody seems to care that he let the community down. It's like all of the traditions that I've spent my life upholding, they've just sort of decided that it doesn't matter. So, I mean, I think I'm just completely disillusioned at this point.
Do you mule for a day and a night?
Oh, that's yeah. I think I saw. Yeah, and it's like everybody is. Well, not everybody, but most of the community. I think Speaker sort of understands what I'm feeling, but most of the community is like, "What's his deal? What's their deal?" Stentor, you muted.
So, yeah.
Okay. So for our next one, we rotate back around to have Justin playing the hero, Stephen as the fallen, Christina as the pillar.
I would ask if we want to play out the fall before we go to the next one, because we finished our third.
Yeah. So time-wise, we probably have time to do 2 more, but if we're feeling like this is a good place to move to the fall, we can do that.
I vote we move to the fall. I tend to like the fact that Downfall is relatively short compared to a lot of other games.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and I'm not sure. It doesn't feel like this arc has too much farther to go.
Right. I think we can cover a lot of ground in our end cap portion of the game.
Yeah, Christina, how do you feel about that?
That sounds good. I like. It doesn't have to be the full 3 hours. I've been very satisfied with each turn in my characters, so I'm good with the fall starting.
Okay, cool. So let me find the official description of how we're doing this. So, so the person that just played the pillar starts, and you narrate a short vignette of how the haven collapses from the hero's point of view. And once you've each gotten a chance to do one of those, then we finish. So Justin was the pillar in that last round that we did. So give us a little vignette of the collapse.
So Axel, grieves for, I think, not one day, but several. And at the end of their grieving, they kind of come out from their seclusion, and they see that not only the garbage has been piling up on the edge of the community for a long time, but not only has that been occurring to an astounding degree while they've been away from the community has started to intentionally pile up garbage as high as possible, placing their boxes on the very tippy top of these precarious wind-blown mounds, to such so that they might emulate the birds themselves in their nests high above, and it's an awful situation.
Okay, then I think it passes to Stephen for your vignette.
Right, and this this accord that I've reached with the birds. It's
this is from the hero's perspective.
Everything is from the hero's perspective.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Right. So. Yeah. I think the crows are becoming a bigger menace. They're sort of becoming bolder and harassing the cats of the town, and some of the weaker cats are sort of they're fleeing they're fleeing the haven. It's become a dangerous place, and people are starting to be scared and feel nervous.
Okay, and Christina, wrap us up.
All right, so I'm sorry, you might hear my son coming in the background, so I apologize. He's getting ready for bed. Let me see. We've become these like catbirds in nests high above, these boxes of undelivered items. And we're scared and we're jumpy because the crows are starting to do their crow thing. In addition to this, we've entirely become absorbed with the feather, and the hero watches as these catbird creatures, just slowly sit around their nests of crap, and just, anytime they see the feather, that's all that their world is. But when the feather, makes its way around Boxtown, he does a little circle. When it passes them, they mule and they just mourn and mourn and mourn for their lost object of fixation. And as a result, they roll around, they try to search for something else that gives them as much comfort in their piles, their hoards, and they can't, to the point where, suddenly there's a thud, and it is a tower of boxes crashing in towards the center of the feather. And one by one, like dominoes, these piles of undelivered items slowly converge into one big pile of crap. Excuse me, what I use of that word. And Boxtown is no more.
Beautiful.
All right, excellent. So yeah, thank you all for playing. That is Downfall Cat Edition. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the broadcast part off here.